But let's go in here, and I've just got a sample account. There's not a whole lot going on at the dashboard here, but if this was a real account, you'd see your web traffic, your leads and impressions, and how many proposals you've created, and what's been accepted and lost, and what I should be doing in terms of managing my pipeline all in one place. But let me go over here to this Get More Leads section and click on the lead magnets. And I'm going to click New Lead Magnet, and let's search for HR. And I'm going to create a new lead magnet based on the 7 HR culture mistakes that kill your business. This is a free lead magnet example that you can grab off the website, and I am going to show you how easy it is to customize this for your website. So for one thing, I can change what it's called. I can allow people to generate a PDF if I want to. I'm going to let people request this over the website. It doesn't require a signature. I want to say who owns it in case I have more than one user in my account. And I can put a button on this so that someone reading through this can take the next step. And in this case, it's probably, hey, let's set up a time to talk. So if you have an online calendar tool or just a contact page, you can stick that on there. So here we've got some content. I can just click in here and start editing. And you can look at this and say, gosh, yes, I agree with this, or no, I don't agree with it, or I agree with most of it, but I'd really like to take out this reference to foosball tables. That really doesn't speak to me, etc. And make this the way you want. As you can see, you can put pictures in here. You can even embed video, which is super cool. And I always recommend having a little About Me section where it's not just sort of a corporate bio, it's a person. And obviously, we want to put our best foot forward and look professional, but we don't have to act like we're trying to impress someone by beefing up our resume. We want them to understand why we do what we do, something beyond just the business aspect of it, something that lets them connect with us and connect with our mission. So you can go in here, you can spend a few minutes, you can literally take this and stick it on your website in 5 minutes, but you can go in and customize this as you need. And when you're done, just click Done, and it's going to say we don't have any leads yet, of course. We need to set up a lead capture widget. In other words, the thing that we're going to stick on our website that's going to let people request this lead magnet. And I can go through here, and again, I can customize this. I can change what the button's going to say. Note that I'm displaying a button and not a form on the web page, because when we see a form, we tend to just mentally skip over it. We want to put a button that's got a message on it that if I'm on that page, there's a good chance I want to click on that button. I can change the color. I can also do things like I'd like to show it after a certain delay. If they've been on the page for a minute, let's just pop it up. If they scroll all the way to the bottom and if they're about to leave, and we can even change where it's positioned. So for example, let's put this on the top right. And then on the form, we can figure out what we would like it to say. So if I click on this, right, it says I'd like to learn more. Don't let me accidentally kill my culture. And then we can determine what we're going to ask for. Now, we have to ask for email, obviously. And by default, we ask for phone, but we make it optional. See, each field has an unavailable, optional, or required checkbox or a drop-down. And this way, people who are not ready to give us their phone number can still get into our system. But a surprising number of people I find actually do want to put their phone number in, and they actually want you to call and they want to talk about their problem. Now, if you call them up and you give them a hard sell, it's probably not going to go very well. But if you call up and say, hey, thanks for grabbing my lead magnet, what did you think? How does that compare with what you've experienced? You can generate a lot of great conversations that way. We can change the style of the form, and we can change how this is going to actually get presented, sent to the customer. We can take someone to a thank you page. We can send them an email. We can stick our signature in there and so on. And we can even drop someone onto a MailChimp list when they're ready. And then all we have to do is take this little snippet of HTML and JavaScript and drop it into our website where we want this button to appear. Now, let's suppose that we've got this on our website and we're actually getting leads, and maybe we've also imported some leads from our existing network, our existing contact system. We can go in and actually tag them. And unlike a traditional CRM where you have to manually set, well, when am I supposed to talk to this person next? Mimiran uses those tags to assign a next conversation date to everybody. And so we can go in and, for example, we can look at all our prospects and we can say, let's start call mode. And say we're in the wrong time zone, we can skip them. But let's say we want to make this call, and I'm not actually going to place the call. But we can do this, and this will actually connect from my Mac to my iPhone, super handy. So I basically put my headphones in and just spend a bunch of time in here just calling people. And one thing that's important is we want to actually take detailed notes, and I like to label my notes with problem or P colon for a problem statement, at risk for lawsuit for wrongful termination, solution, budget, etc. And this way, when I'm going back and looking at my notes and putting together a proposal, I've got everything in the right place. Now you notice as I started typing, this changed from skip to save, because now I've got something to save. I click save, and it's going to take me to the next prospect. And in this way, I know from personal experience, I went from dreading calling people, spending more time stressing out about who to call versus actually calling, and sometimes dropping deals because I was using a traditional CRM where I had to set the next task date, and I was pretty good about that. I'd like to say 80 to 90% good about it, but if you have to do that 3 or 4 times during a deal, you end up losing a quarter or half of your deals just because you haven't actually, you've let things fall off the side of the table. So the idea here is let's make it really simple to follow up and keep things going. And you'll notice that you have to call. There isn't an excuse to back out to email. That's deliberate for introverts like me. And I've heard from a lot of people that, hey, initially it was really uncomfortable, but it's been the best thing because it's actually nice to talk to people and help them. And it's not nearly as bad as we kind of make it out to be in our minds. So let's say that we've made it through our calling and we've actually you notice we had a conversation with Al, and it labeled when it happened, and it assigned a next conversation date based on that. Let's say it's time to create a proposal for Al. And let's create a new proposal template. We'll use this fill in the blank HR proposal template. In this case, maybe we do allow PDF generation. It's not going to allow auto send from the website. It does require a signature. And here you can see we've got a bunch of these interesting fields here, right? Today is going to be today's date up and until the proposal gets accepted, and then it's going to have the acceptance date, customer name, kind of obvious. We've got a logo here, but this would actually be your logo both on the proposal and in the upper right over here. And I can go in and basically fill in the blank on the proposal here, and you can see we've got the possibility of having more than one option within a single proposal. So I might have a basic package and then a retainer option, or a good, better, best set of tiers. Somebody might ask me for different options, and I can put that all in one place and let the client pick what's right for them. And you notice here we've got a contact signature. So when we actually send this to somebody, it will provide for an e-signature. So let's say we had a great conversation with Al, and now we're ready to send him a proposal. So we can go to my proposal templates, and this is the one that we just created. We'll go ahead and use this. Okay. Say Al, it's going to find that in here. If the contact isn't in your system, it'll ask you for a little bit more information. There's an account-wide setting that says how long are your proposals typically valid for, but I can override that. Typically the button will say accept, but I can change that as well. And I can take someone to a follow-up URL after they accept if I want, for example, a payment page or somewhere where they can download some information or maybe upload some information to us. But let's say for now we just want to go in and start creating our proposal. We've got this little notes button. And so here I can go in and search my notes. So if you've got a whole bunch of notes scattered everywhere, as I used to, this is super handy because I can basically pull in, okay, let's talk about the problem. Pull that in, paste it in here, and obviously I need to edit it a little bit, but the idea is to make it really simple to grab all of the problem statements, all the solution statements, make sure that I'm creating something that speaks exactly to the prospect's problems, because that's what I want to do. I want to solve their actual problem. I want to understand it and solve it. But I don't have infinite time to do that. So this way I can create a really customized proposal really quickly without a whole bunch of stress. And then of course I want to go in and let's say I want to add an employee handbook. I can even create a new offering here. So let's say this is going to be workshop 2 hours, and if I want to, I can even group things into different phases. I can add a whole bunch of products at the same time via bundles. And if I want to, I can even add a retainer option here. I can check this button and it will actually let the prospect determine the quantity subject to some minimum threshold that I set. So I might say, you can have a retainer, the minimum is 3 hours, but you can select whatever package you want beyond that. Now you notice that currently this is not selected. I could select it if I think they really want this. If they said, I don't think I want retainer, but show me what it looks like, I can send it to them unselected, but they can always go in and select it. So let's preview this, and you can see it's got today's date, it's got our investment, it's got our retainer option, and it's got this little e-signature block where it's awaiting acceptance by Al Jenkins. It's going to say done, and then when we're ready to send this, we can send this straight through Mimiran, or we can even just copy and paste this into our own email and send it from there. And the nice thing is, either way, we're going to know if and when a prospect is reading our proposal. So I like to go in, I like to schedule a time, preferably in person, but sometimes over the phone or video or whatever, to go through the proposal. And I'll actually send it from the system before the meeting, and I'll just spend a couple minutes waiting for them to read it, just quietly. And hopefully you're hearing a yep, yep, okay, great, yep, you got it, okay, and then you got a question coming. And I always like to make sure we have a meeting scheduled before I prepare a proposal. That shows that they're serious enough that they're actually going to go through it. And every once in a while that'll get rescheduled, or they'll say, okay, great, now I have to go discuss this with someone, and that's when you kind of lose track of things and you end up with those, hey, just call to see if you had any more questions on the proposal voicemails. And by knowing if and when they're reading it, you can reach out at the right time, you can assess how interested they are, and you have a much better chance of closing it without so much back and forth, without so much stress, being more in control of your business.